something that transformed my entire life in just 7 days. Now, I know what you're thinking. 1 week? That's impossible. The most significant changes in our lives often happen in moments of decisive action. It was a Tuesday morning, so first, it was 15. When I found myself staring at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, I had just lost a major business deal. My relationships were struggling and my health was deteriorating. That morning, something inside me snapped. Not in a negative way, but in that crystallizing moment of absolute clarity, when you know, really know, that things must change. I've spent over 4 decades studying successful people, and there's one thing I can tell you with absolute certainty: success isn't an accident, it's not luck, it's not even talent. Success is a direct result of your daily habits. Let me share something personal with you. Back in my early days, I was working as a salesman, living paycheck to paycheck. I drove a used car that broke down more times than I cared to remember. I lived in a small rented room, and I ate at cheap diners to save money. But what really kept me awake at night wasn't my circumstances. It was the gnawing feeling that I was capable of so much more. One evening, after another tough day of rejection, I sat down at my small desk and did something that would change my life forever. I started analyzing my daily habits. And what I discovered shocked me. I wasn't failing because the world was against me. I was failing because my daily habits were programming me for failure. Every single day, you perform thousands of actions. Most of these actions are automatic. They are habits. The way you wake up, the first thing you do in the morning, how you respond to challenges, how you talk to yourself, how you organize your time. These aren't random choices. They are habits you've developed over years. They work whether you want them to or not. Just like gravity, habits don't care about your intentions. They simply deliver results based on your consistent actions. Bad habits deliver bad results. Good habits deliver good results. It's that simple. I remember meeting a highly successful CEO in New York. He was running a billion-dollar company, and I asked him what he considered to be the secret to his success. His answer surprised me. He said, "I don't do extraordinary things. I do ordinary things with extraordinary consistency." That's the real power of habits. Success isn't about making one perfect decision. It's about making 1,000 small decisions consistently. It's about what you do day after day, week after week, month after month. If you improve just 1% each day, at the end of 1 year, you will be 37 times better than when you started. Not 365% better, 37 times better. That's the compound effect of habits. Small changes, consistently applied, create exponential results. Your habits aren't just actions. They're statements about who you are. Every time you follow through on a productive habit, you are not just doing something, you are becoming someone, you are becoming the kind of person who does that thing. When I started waking up at 5 a.m. every day, it wasn't about the early rising itself. It was about becoming the kind of person who does what needs to be done, regardless of how I feel in the moment. When I started keeping a detailed schedule, it wasn't about the schedule. It was about becoming the kind of person who values and controls their time. Most people approach success backwards. They try to have first, do second, and be third. But the correct order is exactly the opposite. You must first be the right kind of person, then do the right things, and finally you will have what you want. This is where the true power of habits comes into play. Your habits shape your identity, and your identity shapes your future. Every habit is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. And the beautiful thing is you get to vote again with every action you take. This brings me to the first specific habit that transformed my life in just 1 week, the Power Hour morning ritual. But before I share that with you, I want you to understand something crucial. The habits I'm about to share aren't just tasks to check off a list. They are tools for transformation. They are the bridges between who you are today and who you are capable of becoming. Habit no one. The Power Hour morning ritual. The most powerful habit I discovered, the one that literally doubled my productivity overnight, is what I call the Power Hour morning ritual. Now, pay close attention because this will completely transform how you start your day. It's 5s. 0 a.m. The world is quiet. Your phone isn't ringing. Your email isn't demanding attention. Your children are still asleep. This is your time, your power hour. I used to be the kind of person who hit the snooze button 3 or 4 times every morning. I'd roll out of bed at the last possible minute, rush through my morning, and start my day already feeling behind. Maybe you can relate to that. But here's what changed everything for me. One morning, I was reading about the habits of great military generals throughout history. And I noticed something fascinating almost without exception. They were early risers. Why? Because they understood that the battle is won before it begins. The same principle applies to your day. Win the morning, win the day. It's that simple. But it's not just about waking up early. It's about what you do in that first hour that matters. I split my power hour into 3 20-minute segments. The first 20 minutes is for physical exercise. Now, I am not talking about running a marathon or lifting heavy weights. Sometimes it's just stretching or walking in place. The key is movement. Why? Because movement changes your state. When you move your body, you change your mind. I remember meeting a successful business owner in Singapore. He told me something I'll never forget. He said, "I never make important decisions sitting down." He understood that physical state influences mental state. The second 20 minutes is for mental programming. This is where I read something positive and educational, not the news, not social media, but something that feeds my mind with success-oriented thoughts. I keep a special book just for this purpose. You see, your mind is most receptive in the early morning hours. What you put into it during this time will affect your entire day. The final 20 minutes, and this is crucial, is for planning and visualization. I review my goals, plan my day, and visualize my success. This is where I program my subconscious mind for success. Think of it like entering coordinates into a GPS. Your subconscious mind needs to know where you are going before it can help you get there. Here's what happened when I implemented this habit. By day 3, my energy levels had skyrocketed. I wasn't reaching for coffee every 2 hours. By day 5, my productivity had doubled. I was getting more done before 9 than I used to accomplish in an entire day. But the most remarkable change wasn't in my productivity, it was in my sense of control. You see, when you start your day with purpose, when you take control of that first hour, something magical happens. You stop being reactive and start being proactive. I remember the exact moment I realized how powerful this habit had become. I was sitting in a meeting, watching everyone else yawn, struggle to focus, while I felt energized and sharp. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about morning routine. This is about life mastery. If you wake up just 1 hour earlier each day, you gain 365 hours in a year. That's more than 15 full days of extra productive time. What could you accomplish with 15 extra days? But here's what's really exciting, and this leads perfectly into our second habit. Once you master your morning, you can master your entire day through what I call strategic time blocking. Habit note 2, strategic time blocking. Now that you have mastered your morning, you are ready for the second habit that will multiply your effectiveness, strategic time blocking. And I want to tell you something that might shock you. Multitasking is a myth. It's not just ineffective. It's actually destroying your productivity. I learned this lesson the hard way. Years ago, I prided myself on being a great multitasker. I would answer phone calls while writing reports, check emails during meetings, and juggle multiple projects simultaneously. I thought I was being productive. I was wrong. One day, a mentor of mine watched me work for about an hour. When I finished, he asked me a simple question that changed everything. He said, "How much of what you just did will matter in 5 years?" I couldn't answer. I'd been busy, but I hadn't been productive. There's a fundamental difference between being busy and being productive. Busy people do many things at once. Productive people do one important thing at a time. This is where strategic time blocking comes in. I divide my day into 90-minute focused work sessions, followed by 15-minute breaks. During these 90 minutes, I work on one thing and one thing only. No phone, no email, no interruptions, just pure, focused work on my most important tasks. Why 90 minutes? Because research shows our brains naturally operate in cycles. These ultradian rhythms, as scientists call them, mean we can focus intensely for about 90 minutes before we need a break. I didn't make this up. It's how your brain is wired. I remember implementing this with a group of sales executives. One of them, Mike, was skeptical. He told me, "I can't ignore my phone for 90 minutes. What if I miss something important?" 1 week later, he came back with amazing results. Not only had he doubled his sales calls, but the quality of his conversations had improved dramatically. Why? Because he was fully present in each call. You decide the night before exactly what you will work on during each block. This eliminates decision fatigue and ensures you are always working on your highest value activities. Think about it. How much time do you waste each day deciding what to do next? I use a simple method to determine what goes into each time block. I ask myself 3 questions. Then, what are my highest value activities? 2, what tasks will move me closest to my most important goals? 3, what work requires my full concentration? The answers to these questions get the prime time blocks, those periods when my energy and focus are at their peak. For most people, this is in the morning, right after their power hour. Here's something crucial about strategic time blocking. It's not just about managing time, it's about managing energy. That's why the 50-minute breaks between blocks are non-negotiable. During these breaks, I stand up, move around, drink water, and reset my mind. These aren't wasted minutes. They are strategic recovery periods that make the next focused session possible. I had a client once who told me he couldn't afford to take breaks. He was working 14-hour days, constantly rushing from one task to another. I asked him to try strategic time blocking for just 1 week. By the end of that week, he was leaving the office 2 hours earlier and getting more done. Why? Because focused work is exponentially more effective than scattered attention. If you can focus deeply for just 4 90-minute blocks each day, that's 6 hours of high-quality work. Most people don't get 6 hours of quality work done in a 12-hour day of multitasking. But the real magic happens when you combine strategic time blocking with your power hour morning ritual. The morning ritual sets you up for success, and time blocking ensures you maintain that success throughout the day. This powerful combination naturally leads us to the 3rd transformative habit, daily goal setting and review. Time blocking is incredibly powerful, but it only works when you know exactly what you're working toward. That's why you need a system to set, review, and adjust your goals every single day. And that's exactly what I'm going to share with you next. Habit no. 3, daily goal setting and review. Most people think about goals once a year, usually around New Year's Eve. Then they wonder why they are not making progress. But I'm going to share something powerful with you, something that completely transformed my results. Goals aren't a once-a-year activity. They are a daily practice. I learned this lesson from a highly successful businessman in Chicago. He told me, I made my first million when I stopped setting yearly goals and started setting daily ones. At first, I didn't understand what he meant, but then he showed me his daily goal setting ritual and everything clicked. Success leaves clues. And one of the biggest clues I've discovered is that successful people review and reset their direction every single day. Not once a week, not once a month, every single day. Here's what I do, and I want you to write this down because it's absolutely critical. Every evening I spend exactly 15 minutes, not 14, not 16, but exactly 15 minutes, reviewing my day and setting specific goals for tomorrow. This is sacred time. No phone calls, no interruptions, no excuses. During these 15 minutes, I ask myself 3 powerful questions. The first question is, what did I accomplish today? This isn't just about making a list. It's about acknowledging progress and building momentum. You see, success breeds success. When you acknowledge your wins, no matter how small, you program your mind for more success. The second question is, what did I learn today? This is crucial because every day brings lessons if you are paying attention. Maybe you learned something about your business, about other people, or about yourself. Write it down. This simple practice turns experience into expertise. The third question, and this is where the magic happens, is what are my top 3 must-accomplish items for tomorrow? Notice I said 3, not 5 or 10. Why? Because having too many priorities means having no priorities at all. I remember working with a sales team in Dallas. Their sales were stagnant and morale was low. I taught them this daily goal-setting practice. Within 30 days, their sales had increased by 37%. But here's what's really interesting. Their work hours hadn't increased. They were just focusing on what really mattered. You must write your goals down, not type them, write them. There's something powerful about the physical act of writing that engages your brain differently. When you write something down, you are essentially giving your subconscious mind a direct order. Your subconscious mind is like a garden. Every thought you think, every goal you write down is like planting a seed. But just like a garden, you can't plant seeds once a year and expect a continuous harvest. You need to tend to it daily. This daily practice creates what I call success momentum. Each day builds on the previous one. Each small win creates positive energy for the next win. It's like compound interest for your goals. And just like compound interest, the results might seem small at first, but they become massive over time. It eliminates what I call creative avoidance. You know what that is? It's being busy with small things to avoid the important things. When you have your 3 must-accomplish items clearly written down, there's nowhere to hide. You either did them or you didn't. But perhaps the most powerful benefit of this habit is what it does to your self-image. Every time you write down a goal and accomplish it, you aren't just checking off a task. You are strengthening your identity as someone who follows through. You are building what psychologists call self-efficacy. The belief in your ability to achieve what you set out to do. This naturally brings us to our 4th habit, which is absolutely crucial for maintaining this momentum. The 2-minute rule for decision making. Because you see, setting goals is important, but what really determines your success is how quickly and effectively you make decisions to move toward those goals. Habit no. 4, the 2-minute rule for decision making. You know what kills more dreams than failure? Indecision. I discovered this truth early in my career, and it changed everything about how I approach decision making. Let me share something personal with you about this. Years ago, I was sitting across from a successful CEO in his office. There was a sign on his desk that read, "Move fast, break things, learn quickly." I asked him about it, and what he told me transformed my entire approach to decision making. He said, most people spend more time deciding what to have for lunch than they do making decisions that could change their lives. And he was absolutely right. We are paralyzed by the fear of making wrong decisions, so we make no decisions at all. That's when I developed what I call the 2-minute rule for decision making. When faced with any decision, I ask myself one simple question. Will this significantly impact my life 5 years from now? If the answer is no, and trust me, for about 80 of our decisions, the answer is no, I make the decision immediately within 2 minutes. Not tomorrow, not after consulting 10 people, not after making a pros and cons list. Right now, within 2 minutes. I remember using this rule when I was offered a speaking engagement in Singapore. The fee wasn't what I usually commanded, the timing wasn't perfect, and I had other commitments I needed to juggle. In the past, I might have spent days weighing the pros and cons. Will this decision matter 5 years from now? The answer was no. So I made the decision in 2 minutes. I said yes. That decision led to 3 major corporate contracts in Asia that I would have missed if I'd been stuck in analysis paralysis. For the roughly 20% of decisions that will impact your life 5 years from now, things like career changes, major investments, or life partnerships, I give myself a strict 24-hour deadline. Not a week, not a month, 24 hours. Why? Because time spent in indecision is time stolen from action. It's not about making perfect decisions. It's about making good decisions quickly and then making them work. You see, in most cases, a good decision made quickly and executed enthusiastically is better than a perfect decision made too late. I worked with a business owner once who was agonizing over whether to launch a new product line. He'd been analyzing the market for 6 months. During that time, 2 competitors had entered the space he was considering. While he was seeking perfect certainty, the market was moving on without him. I taught him the 2-minute rule. He made the decision that day to launch. Was it a perfect decision? No. Was there still risk? Yes. But here's what happened. By taking action quickly, he could adjust and improve based on real market feedback instead of theoretical analysis. Every moment you spend in indecision is a moment of action lost forever. Every hour you spend overanalyzing a decision is an hour you could have spent implementing and improving. The 2-minute rule does something else that's incredibly powerful. It preserves your mental energy. You see, decision making is like a muscle. It gets fatigued. The more decisions you have to make, the poorer your judgment becomes. That's why successful people often wear the same style of clothes every day or eat the same breakfast. They are saving their decision-making energy for what really matters. And this brings us perfectly to our 5th and final habit, intentional learning. Because once you are making decisions quickly and effectively, you need to ensure you are constantly improving the quality of those decisions through continuous learning. Habit no. 5, intentional learning. The final habit I want to share with you, the one that ties everything else together, is intentional learning. And this isn't about casual reading or watching random videos. This is about systematic, purposeful learning that directly impacts your success. I remember sitting in my car one evening exhausted after a long day of sales calls. I'd made 0 sales that day, 0. I turned on the radio hoping to distract myself from my failure. But instead of music, I caught the end of an interview with a successful businessman. He said something that hit me like a lightning bolt. Your income rarely exceeds your personal development. That night changed everything for me. I realized I'd been hoping my life would improve while I remained the same person. But that's not how success works. Success doesn't come to you, you grow into it. So I committed to learning something new every single day, not passive learning, but active, intentional learning focused on my goals and my future. Here's exactly what I did and what I want you to do starting today. First, I dedicated 30 minutes. First thing after my morning power hour to focused reading in my field. Not newspapers, not social media, but books and materials directly related to my goals. 30 minutes of reading equals roughly 1 book per month. 1 book per month equals 12 books per year. Do you know how many books the average person reads in a year? Less than 1. I don't just read. For every 30 minutes of reading, I spend 10 minutes writing down 1 key insight and 1 specific way to apply that insight in the next 24 hours. This is where most people go wrong with learning. They consume information but never convert it into action. I remember teaching this to a young entrepreneur in Houston. He said, "I don't have time to read." I asked him how much television he watched. He got very quiet. You see, we all have the same 24 hours. The question is, how are we investing those hours? The second part of intentional learning is what I call the teacher's mindset. After I learn something new, I look for opportunities to teach it to someone else within 24 hours. Why? Because teaching forces you to clarify your thinking. When you can teach something, you truly understand it. I keep a small notebook with me at all times. Every time I hear a good idea, every time I have an insight, every time I learn something valuable, I write it down. This notebook has become more valuable to me than any university degree. Something powerful about intentional learning. It compounds over time. Each new piece of knowledge connects with what you already know, creating new insights and possibilities. It's like compound interest for your mind. But there's another aspect of intentional learning that most people miss: learning from experience. Every evening during my goal review session, I ask myself, what did I learn today from my experiences? Some of my most valuable lessons came not from books, but from analyzing my successes and failures. Experience isn't the best teacher, evaluate experience is. Anyone can have experiences, but only those who take time to analyze and learn from their experiences truly grow. And this brings us full circle. Because when you combine all 5 of these habits, your power hour morning ritual, strategic time blocking, daily goal setting and review, the 2-minute rule for decision making, and intentional learning, something magical happens. You create what I call a success cycle that builds upon itself day after day. Your morning ritual sets you up for focused work. Time blocking ensures you maintain that focus. Daily goal setting keeps you on track. Quick decision making maintains your momentum, and intentional learning ensures you are constantly growing and improving. I stand here today as living proof that these 5 habits can transform your life. But knowledge isn't power. It's only potential power. The real power comes from action. So here's my challenge to you. Remember, success is not about making radical changes that you can't sustain. It's about making small, intelligent choices consistently over time. These 5 habits are your blueprint for transformation. The next 7 days of your life are going to pass whether you take action or not. The only question is, will you be moving forward toward your goals, or will you still be standing in the same place? The choice is yours, the time is now, and your future self is watching, waiting to thank you for the decisions you make today. Thank you, and remember, your life changes the moment you make a new, congruent, and committed decision. Make that decision now.